Welcome back. And Neale, in the last segment, that part where you got this information that his mum, his birth mum, had passed away 2 years earlier, do you find that you more and more have moments where you get those insights into someone else's life?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. The process is one of getting myself out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
When I say to myself, when I'm asked questions like that, which I'm asked increasingly wherever I go, because people, think of me as this is the guy who talks to God. By the way, we all talk to God. I want to make that point before I leave this chair.
Yeah.
But people think it's about me and not all of us. And so they increasingly ask me questions like that. And when someone does, my first reaction is to go deep inside and to say, okay, God, obviously there's something you want this person to know now. What is it? And allow me to get myself out of the way and just become clear about what it is. Let me be an amplifier for this other person's voice, because generally speaking, when we're all talking to ourselves, using someone else as the amplifier of our own wisdom. And so that's true certainly in this case, and in cases like this. People probably already know many of their own answers, but they either haven't found a way to access them or haven't found a way to believe them. So I usually get very quiet for a moment, and I just kind of ask God, okay, if there was something this person's trying to tell him or herself here, what would it be? I try to get myself out of the way, and then I say the first thing that comes to my mind, without judgment, without thinking too much about it, without trying to add content or even thinking about the content. I've learned to just blurt it out. And it's been an astonishing process.
I wondered that when I watched that particular segment. Where do you think we are at on this planet in the balance between love and fear? Where are we at compared to, say, where we were at when you first started writing book one?
I think that we're at a wonderful place. I see the world moving closer and closer to its own spectacular healing. I see humanity just stepping, now by leaps and bounds, toward the paradise on earth of which it has dreamt for many, many centuries, even for millennia. I think we're right on the cusp of that. But because we're right now on the cusp of that, I think that this is also a potentially dangerous time. Because as happens at all moments like this, when history is about to change course radically, as happened the last time on this earth during the period of the Renaissance, there will be those who believe that any shift or change in the fundamental ground of being of humanity is unwelcome, undesirable, and so they will oppose it. And they will oppose it in some cases by any means, fair or unfair, violent or nonviolent. They will oppose it. So I see that we are approaching a time where there will be some level of clash between, I want to say, yesterday and tomorrow, in all areas of human endeavor, not simply not simply with regard to religion or spirituality, but governance, education, commerce, and the way we do our economies, human sexuality, the arts, and just as happened during the Renaissance, by the way. All those things changed during the Renaissance as well. The Renaissance, of course, took 300 years to create those changes. I think that these shifts will occur at this time in around 30 years, about 1/10 the time, because of the exponential increase in the speed with which information is shared by peoples of the earth, and the increase in the way in the rate at which new solutions and new ways of doing things are found and are employed throughout the world in every field of human endeavor, the sciences, medicine, technology, and of course in spirituality as well. So Robyn, I think in the next 30 years or so, we will create a brand new way to be human. And I think we're right on the verge of that now.
So we're now 2007, so we're talking about 2037.
Yeah, 2037, 2040. I think we'll find, as we begin to approach the midpoint of this century, that we're looking at a whole new world. hopefully not Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, but a whole new world where we have new ideas about God, about life, and about each other, and about who we are, about why we're here on the earth, and about the whole process that we're undergoing.
Okay. In all the travels that you do and all the questions that you're asked, what would be the one or two questions you're most asked? That, you know, the viewers out there could be going, well, ask him this question. I mean, so much is answered in your books, and yet.
Well, I'm almost always asked why you, and I try to tell people that it isn't me, it's everybody. And so my usual answer to that is, why not you? That God is talking to all people all the time. I'm also asked, what is God's message to the world? If you actually talk to God, what is God's message to the world? I mean, if he had a statement that he wants to make for all humankind, what is the statement? And I usually have a 5-word answer to that, which I gave in the film.
Mm-hmm.
You've got me all wrong.
Mm.
So I think people really, but mostly people want to understand the individual incidents in their own lives. What I've just discovered is that when people ask me questions out of an audience, they almost always ask me questions having to do with individual incidents in their own lives. How can I find my life purpose? That's a big question. I get asked that a lot. How can I create a better relationship? How do I deal with this particular circumstance in my life, an illness or the loss of a job or whatever? People tend to be concerned and involved to a very large degree with their own day-to-day experience. I don't say that pejoratively, I just simply notice it. What I attempt to do is to help people to understand that life is much broader, much more expansive, and certainly much more, how do I say this, important than one's 9-to-5 on-the-ground experience, the individual dramas of our life. I find it very difficult to stay connected to life in that way. I don't have individual dramas anymore that last more than 7 minutes. I call it Neale's 7-minute drama. And it's over. I can't stay with it. I can't stay with it. I can be there. I can be, as I said before, just as annoyed or upset as the next person, but not for much more than about 6 or 7 minutes. I can't hold it. I can't stay there. I know too much. And I want too much, frankly, out of life. I want too much joy. I want too much peace. I want too much harmony. I want too much happiness for you and for me to allow myself to hang out in those bad places for more than a very short time. So when I see other people hanging out there, or I hear questions from audience members about something that happened 2 or 3 years ago, or some event, it's very difficult for me not to say to them, are you still there? Are you really still hanging out with that? Is this the biggest concern of your life right now? Because I want to ask you, what are you doing to change the world? Or for that matter, what are you doing to evolve your own soul at the next level and take it to the next place? I don't say those things, of course, in front of audiences. It's just what I would sometimes like to say, because sometimes I want to take the world itself.
And go,
sure. Of course. Just shake it by the shoulders and say, time to wake up.
I have to admit, sometimes I want to do that to myself.
Yeah.
We'll take a break and come back for the last part of our interview with Neale.